There is another important aspect too. Like one has the ability to develop new products, there is also the decision to make to improve a particular product, to drop it altogether, or sometimes to say, hey, it's too much of a headache, or it's easier to buy a product than make it in-house. So there are several cases out here. For example, one is the case of improving what one has. If you look at the people's car from Tata, the Nano, the deal completely took the world by storm. A car at less than 1 lakh of rupees or 2,000 odd dollars, if you take the US dollar as a thing, it was completely unbelievable that a car could be could be designed for such a low cost. But after it came out, there were issues of fire and all those kinds of things. So there is now an effort to see how to redesign it, maybe, or how to give different variants of it, maybe even at a higher cost, and kind of in some fashion or the other rejuvenate that brand. Many companies have done this quite constantly, and there are examples galore. The second way is to also adapt it to local conditions. For example, a lot of multinational companies, if you take the food business, many of them have adapted to the local conditions. McDonald's has things like a McPuff or now a paneer burger, you know. So, which is something they don't have anywhere else in the world. You know, Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, has vegetarian meals in India, again a first for it. There is also sometimes modifications made for specific markets. Things, a very simple way to look at it, sometimes certain things like a refrigerator may not work so well in a rural area which has power situations. So Godrej has introduced something called a Chotu refrigerator aimed at the rural audience. Similarly, there could be variants in terms of packaging, because certain customers, like if you take shampoos, it was earlier available only in bottles, till Velvet came along and introduced it in sachets. It was a huge game-changing event that packaging could make such a significant impact on a product category like shampoos. And sometimes it's better or more easy to buy, and this is happening all the time. If you take India, Hindustan Lever bought Kisan and it got the entire range of squashes, jams, sauces, and so on and so forth. Coca-Cola came in and bought Thumbs Up, and first wanted to drop Thumbs Up, as we know, and then had to kind of keep it within its portfolio because it was catering to a completely different kind of an audience. So there are various ways by which one can keep juggling around with a product portfolio. Sometimes a very tough decision has to be made, and the tough decision is it's time to let a product go. Sometimes it's just for the fact that it takes too much of management time in terms of resources and time and energy, and the revenues that are coming from it are not commensurate with all of this input that's being given. Sometimes people might do a last ditch revival strategy by making adjustments of various types, some price adjustments, product reformulations, distribution, so on and so forth. But certain product categories also sometimes face the end of their life cycle. So for example, typewriters today are hardly seen, or duplicating or cyclostyling machines. Today you hardly see many people also using fountain pens. So there are many product categories that are kind of virtually on the death bed, so to speak. So one has to decide whether or not to remove that product and delete it from its portfolio. Maybe you ruthlessly eliminate it. It happens many times. People just say, look, it's not worth it. I'm not going to have this kind of product anymore, and drop it altogether. Or you just kind of allow it to slowly fade away in some manner or the other. Or in very extreme cases, some people just kind of choke off the demand by artificially hiking the prices to a level where nobody even looks at that product. So there are several ways to do it, and you can look at products that you grew up with and today you don't find around. That you'll find a bunch of them, I'm sure, and you can examine why exactly did the companies let those products go. It's also important while developing new products to figure out how customers also take to new products, because a lot of people are also resistant to change at times. So, moving from one way of doing things to another way of doing things, one must see how customers also react to this product development process. So, usually there is the standard 4 or 5 stage process where a customer has an awareness, gets an awareness of that particular product, shows some kind of interest, evaluates it, maybe tries it out and then continues to use it. So, the awareness, interest, evaluation, trial and adoption. You also might want to see how this fits into your product choices, especially some of the newer products. What made you choose, for example, a particular e-commerce, e-commerce as opposed to going, say, to a physical store and buying things? How did you get aware of it? How did you start developing an interest in using an e-commerce platform? What made you try it out? What made you then maybe stick with it? So, it's very interesting to see how exactly you have gone through this, in your own life, for you to understand why this aspect is important for a marketer. So, as you can make out, a new product development process has a lot of aspects to it, and it is not just about innovation for innovation's sake, but innovation with an eye on the market, an eye on the customer, an eye on the competitor. There are internal and external factors which impinge on this new product development process, and it is the result actually of coordinated activities of several specialists within and outside the company, and it is very vital for the company in order for it to stay alive and stay relevant and stay competitive. So, it is very important for us to get inputs from a whole cross section of such specialists, from R&D, from operations, from the people on the field, as also from customers, in order for us to develop, modify, rejuvenate or drop products altogether. So, in this process, understanding how customers also take to new products and adopt new products is very important.